Ultimately, we find that our basic problem, which creates all problems, is the problem of loneliness. We are lonely. We have skin-deep relationships in this world. Relationships where we can feel that this is not what I really need. My heart is asking for something more than what I'm getting. And that all these relationships we are having are based upon conditions, based upon something expectations from each other, some expectations from each other, something that ties us down to something other than the relationship. It is something that is not truly long-lasting. Just by the very nature of that kind of relationship we have, it's not long-lasting. And we remain alone. Standing in a crowd of people, we feel alone. Sitting with people, we feel alone. Because nobody touches our soul. Nobody touches us right where we have inner feeling. And we become hypocrites. We put up faces which are not our real faces. We try to pretend that we are something that we are not. We try to build relationships. We try to survive relationships. We try to act abnormally in order to survive in relationships. How can you have friendship in that kind of artificial life that you're leading? This artificiality of life comes because we can't be truthful. Truth hurts in these cases. And we become liars. And we conceal who we are. We put on one mask after another. And then we tell lies to protect ourselves in small situations. And then the lies get exposed and we have to have more lies to cover the previous lies. What kind of life is that? What kind of friendship can exist when we are in a state of fear all the time? Will I get caught? Will he find out? Will she find out? These are the problems that are besetting our mind all the time. Just because we do not have a friend and we are alone. We are lonely. This loneliness comes from the fact that we are lonely. It does not come from any artificial thing. The truth is that our inner self is not exactly what we think it is. We are thinking the self is our body. Loneliness is not in the body. We have plenty of company around us. We think that we are the sensory perceptions that can see, touch, taste, smell, that's our personality, that's who we are. We are doing that all the time. We're eating, drinking, making merry, having sex, having friendships of that kind all the time. Yet we are lonely. The sense perceptions are not ourselves. They're just instruments attached to us. Then we think that our thoughts are ourself. That when we think, that means that must be our real self. Because we can think, therefore we must be that real self. And then we realize thoughts are not our friends at all. When we consider the way we think and what kind of thoughts we have, thoughts are more crushing for us than anything else. If you look back in your life, what crushed you most was your own thoughts. You could think yourself into depression. You could think yourself into breaking relationships. You could think yourselves in hating people. You could think yourselves into committing murder. You could think yourself into murder and evil and all that. How many times have we had positive thoughts and how many times have we had negative thoughts? A mechanism existing in our consciousness which enables us to think does not become ourself. It remains a mechanism. Thinking is a mere process in consciousness. Thinking cannot become us. Then who are we who are lonely? We are the ones that are trying to overcome our loneliness in the company of our mind, in the company of our thoughts, in the company of our sense perceptions, in the company of a world that we created around us, in the company of people who cannot be our friends. Naturally, we have to be lonely. There is no escape. Unless we can meet somebody at the level of our own spiritual self, the self that creates the experiences with the mind, with the senses, with the body. Unless we have a companionship at that level, we will always be lonely. And yet, that companionship is available. When I talk of a true friend, I am not talking of a person. There are lots of persons who look like true friends. I am talking of one who becomes your companion at the spiritual level, who is with you no matter what your thoughts, who is with you no matter where you live, who is with you no matter what your belief system, who is with you no matter what spiritual practice you practice or don't practice, who is with you no matter whether you are a believer in God or an atheist. Somebody who can be with you as you are, your real basic self. That would be a true friend. And when we talk of a perfect living master, PLM, perfect living master, when we talk of that, we're talking of such a being. We're talking of such a person.